Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
All right, Brother Ali, before they called you white at this DJ stream. Wait a minute. Do we have the ticker going across the top?
What's the ticker?
The name of this stream is the West Side East Side stream.
Oh.
The West Side East Side stream. Brother Ali, before they called you white is the name of the song. This was picked by DJ Franco, I believe. Wait a minute. No. Was this one? I think Franco had the last 3 songs. Yeah, Franco has the last 3 songs. This one, I think is negative.
This is song 3, isn't it?
Yeah, but the last 3 songs on the stream. So
the first 3 songs, if the first 3 songs are Mike, then this would be a Mike song, because the Brother Ali song is song number 3.
Negative song, 5 songs we played first. So I believe this is from Negative. But either way, this is what the person says. Whenever I hear people whine about how they don't think anti-racism is needed beyond just being racist, but beyond just not being racist, I think of this pretty much right away. The brother sums it up about as well as anyone ever could.
Oh boy.
Lyrics are up on Trello.
I wish M Def fan was here to hear this.
Oh no. Before they called you white.
I'm sure he's gonna like it. Alright, don't be triggered! Don't be triggered! Here we go. Before they called you white. The West Side East Side stream by Negative Vibes and DJ Mike. Yes, dear listener.
Okay, so wait. So the last song, Mike didn't pick the last song. That was actually Negative that picked that one. So thank you, Negative.
Yeah. I kind of knew that to be true, but I've learned.
But I got a little confused.
I should have made that a bet.
I don't think I would have bet with you.
Before they called you white.
At what point did poor European people that used to rebel against the ones that forced them to work land they didn't own and die with nothing of their own, what was it that turned their hearts so that they start to identify with power even though they're powerless, identify with wealth even though they're broke? It's the invention of whiteness.
They call you white by white standards. Damn what they talking about. You man first. Stand and curse the dirty hand that first crafted the plan. Spread it through the land and shattered the damn earth. This is sickest system that ever existed. Since this earth's beginning commenced its twisting. How you convince a man with red blood to bleed? Completely devalue what a human being means. Nobody called themselves white several centuries ago. They were living off the land with the trees. They were Dutch, they were Irish, they were German, they were Greek, with culture, families, tradition and beliefs. And rich blood suckers saw new soil disease. And they ain't about tried to get their hands dirty, cracker please. Swindled you to trade in your identity, showed you pie in the sky, and promised you a peace with symbolic image in the scripture that you read. White holy angels and black evil demons. You were so starving that you started to believe it. Now you die colonizing for somebody else's greed. Don't you see the overseers is still in the field? Every breath of water and breathe is still in the jail. You will never own that farm or the prison for real. Terrified of the time when your victims rebel. Listen, you don't fear them, you fear the blood on your hand. All the ugly you done to that man, that woman, that child, that land, that sea, that sky. That they look you in the eye and demand that you tell them why. All them years whipping and lying and killing. Generations of poison and bombing and drilling. All designed to turn the hearts of your children to stone. Got post-traumatic slave master syndrome. How the hell are y'all gonna heal, be made whole? You identifying with the people in control. You can't throw a human in the bottom of a boat unless somebody got a damn chain around your soul. In that middle passage asking who got stole. A hot auction block where your blood ran cold. And every day a cop let them shots explode. You gon' have to find a way to regain your soul. I said the eye can't see itself. It can't sit back, critique itself and peep itself. It need help. Take the sword for example. No matter how hard it can't carve its own handle. Said the eye can't see itself. It can't sit back, critique itself and peep itself. It need help. Take the sword for example. No matter how hard it can't carve its own handle.
The inner city of our cities is like another country. The rules are different. It's almost like you need a passport there. The police treat people differently. When I lived out in the suburbs, if my car broke down on the highway and a state trooper pulled up behind me, I wouldn't have been scared. I'd have been glad. But young man after young man after young man had been beaten by the police, and the only way you know, you got to be with the people, and we live separated. We go in air-conditioned cars and we stick on our interstates and hang out with people just like us. Well, by God's grace, I was brought into this and seeing how race plays a part and how poverty plays a part. And my job is to go out to the American people.
Who was that?
I don't know. I'm assuming Genius will tell us who that person is. No, I don't know who that is. Okay.
Wow.
What he's articulating here is an idea called critical race theory, and that looked to be a quote from somebody in the ACLU.
Oh, you know what? I'll copy and Google search it. So
I've already done this.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So he's talking about negative vibes. Try to figure out where that quote was from, but he couldn't find it anywhere.
Okay.
Okay, so here is, and you know, I was doing some work on this with some church people during the whole critical race theory push that the right was doing a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. They're gonna teach your kids critical race theory in schools and blah 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 blah. And you had all these people talking about critical race theory. They had no idea what critical race theory actually is. So when you're watching Tucker Carlson, you're gonna hear that critical race theory is the idea that white people are inherently horrible and they're terrible and we have to get rid of white people. We got to get rid of them. And so you would have these quotes where Tucker would say right here, like, whiteness is a disease, it's an illness or whatever. And Tucker would say, see, they want to get rid of you. This is what they're teaching your kids in school, that you're teaching your poor white kids that they're a disease and all the rest of it. And
there was something about the jobs too.
He was very successful. And I don't want to like disrespect Tucker's audience, but he was very, very successful in getting his audience to believe that that's what was happening. And you know, most people are not going to be like, well, let me look at that myself. So here is what critical race theory actually is. And this is Encyclopedia Britannica. You know, I showed this to one of my. I said, you know, this is Encyclopedia Britannica. Can we at least agree that they might know what they're talking about? It's an intellectual and social movement and loosely organized framework of legal analyses based on the premise. Here is the premise: that race is not a natural, biologically grounded feature of physically distinct groups of human beings, but a socially constructed, culturally invented category that is used to oppress and exploit people of color. Wow. Critical race theorists hold that racism is inherent in the law and the legal institutions of the United States insofar as a function to create and maintain social, economic, and political inequalities between whites and non-whites, especially African Americans. Critical race theorists are generally dedicated to applying their understanding of the institutional or structural nature of racism to the concrete, if distant, goal of eliminating all race-based and other unjust hierarchies. Okay. The salient point here is that critical race theorists do not believe that race is an actual thing. Okay, they believe that race is not a biologically grounded feature of physically distinct subgroups of human beings, but a social construction. Okay, so then race and colors become, and we talk about this, something is color coded. So like, for example, our traffic communication is color coded.
Yeah.
Red means stop, green means go. And so what the critical race theorists are saying is that these people color coded our society.
Oh no.
Red is an arbitrary color, green is an arbitrary color. There's nothing about red that says you should stop.
Right.
That's a fiction that all of us are agreeing to believe.
Exactly.
In order for society to run. And so their argument is, look, race is not real. It's a fiction that we have poured into society in order to generate a certain kind of result, namely the one color-coded group on top and the other color-coded group at the bottom perpetually in a systemic fashion. Okay? So what the critical race theorists were saying is they're saying, listen, there's no such thing as race. Race is a color code. It's a societal color code that's designed to keep certain people down and keep certain people up. And so that's what critical race theory is, and that's what was being discussed at the height of academia, all the rest of it. And Ben Shapiro, who's an actual law student, knew this. And so he wasn't saying the same stuff that Tucker was doing, but he would never go out and correct him. This is one of the things that really, that to me was the end of me in the right wing.
Oh, really? Really, that was it.
It wasn't the fact that they were racist, because I don't believe that every right winger is racist. I'm talking about at the institutional level, because I believe all of these organizations, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, including progressives, I believe they're all racist. But my problem is how explicitly they lied about this topic in order to generate support in their voter base and whatever. They were willing to lie, and they literally came out and said, we're lying about this to get people not even to think about it. James Lindsay said that on Twitter.
Wow.
So that was my problem. My problem wasn't like the racial aspect of it. Like, my problem is you were knowingly lying about what people actually believed. And then I would post a video from the woman who actually coined the term critical race theory, where she said this stuff.
Wow.
It didn't matter. All this is just some liberal blah. I'm like, what are you talking? This is the person that coined the term. What do you mean? Nope, Tucker knows more about it than her. Okay. That to me, I was like, okay. So like, it's very important, because when you hear things like we need to eliminate whiteness or whiteness is a disease, they're not talking about white people. They're saying the color code, the color coding that our society has is diseased.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And when you are, this is why this is why I said, like, this is about power and human sinfulness. If black people were at the top of the pile in America, we would do the same thing. Right? So I don't believe that there's something uniquely wrong with white people.
Yep.
There is something wrong with white people. That's the same thing that's wrong with the black folks who sold their own people into slavery.
Yep.
It's called the sinful nature.
Yep.
And so for me, it's like, okay, how is the sinful nature going to express itself? Well, here's a mathematical formula. 100% of the time that a group of human beings has had power over another group of human beings, they have always abused it. 100% of the time. There's never been a time in human history where you had a minority group of people that were not exploited and treated unfairly by the other group. Go ahead.
Well, if you think about like parents with children, like that is a group where we, like, the adults have the power over the kids. They have no, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
But that relationship does work because parents love their children, and
Well,
so they
I
want
still-
the best for them.
I agree, but
So
I
think
still
there's
I still say though that parents, even parents that we would not look upon as abusive, but I still think that dynamic is still there. Let me give you an example.
Well,
I told Orion, man, get out of here, because I was coming out of the shower and I don't like kids upstairs when I'm in the shower or whatever. So I got out. I said, man, get out of here. And 2.5, 3-year-old Orion looks at me and says, do not talk to me like that. And I said, what would have happened if that would have happened at your house?
Oh, I would have got in trouble for sure.
That's what I
would
mean.
never been able to say something.
That's
like
what I mean. I apologized to him because I was wrong.
Yes, I'm just saying.
But the dynamic is that does not happen.
No, it doesn't. I'm just saying that when you have relationships, like we can't eliminate all power structure relationships. I mean, the world has to have designated leaders. I mean, we can't just have everybody just running around with no leadership.
I didn't say we need to eliminate. What I said was every time that there is a power inequality, the group in power is always going to use that power for their benefit at the expense of the other.
Right, and that's why I was saying
100% of the time.
I think, well, eventually we have to get to the point where don't you think, well, what's the fix?
Well, I'm a Christian. The fix is Jesus. He's the only
Love. God is love.
Well, Jesus.
Yeah.
Because unbelievers love their kids too. But they don't have a paradigm for how love actually works out in the real world. So when I have a 3-year-old that's looking at me with a very angry face saying, do not talk to me like that, somebody has to arbitrate between me and that child. Who's right? Who should apologize? Now, the normal decision is, well, the parent is right because we're parents and we set all the rules and kids don't set rules for society. So what I'm saying is, in that moment, I was misusing my power and authority over that 2-year-old. But the 2-year-old is able to advocate for himself and say, don't talk to me like that. And the reason I apologized to him is because God was on his side. I was wrong. The scripture makes it clear, don't exasperate your children. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He wasn't rebelling. I was the one with the bad attitude. He has every right to look at, and point his finger at me and say, don't talk to me like that. What I'm saying is, if you don't have a third-party arbitrator above that, I'm going to go, get the fuck out of here. You're 2. You're lucky you're not in trouble. Get out of here. Which is how most parents would handle that conversation. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, anytime you have a power dynamic that's unequal, the person in power is absolutely going to abuse that power unless there's somebody above them to tell them you were wrong and the person that's weaker than you is right. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right, I'm with it. With it.
My point in saying that is to say there is nothing wrong with white people or men or, cis white males, which is like the group now that we're all supposed to hate. Is cis white males because they have all this privilege. Mm-hmm. Well, they do have privilege and they do have the most power in the world as it stands right now. But that doesn't mean that there's something particularly wrong with them. It just means that they have the power that affords them the least amount of accountability. And if we switched it, we would do the same thing. Yeah. And I know that because while I agree there's lots of men shoving women into abortion clinics, there's still women going out and saying, hey, it's my choice.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's that power imbalance, so it's like, hey, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And he even said, like, who told you... He said something about, like, who told you that there were some humans better than other humans or something like that. Which is a crazy line. So, yeah, right there. It says, how can you convince man with red blood to bleed completely devalue what a human being means? That's a crazy line, because the question is, he doesn't say what a human being is. He said, you're devaluing what a human being means. That's something completely different. All right? That's something completely different. Because you're saying that there is something metaphysically, transcendentally important about human beings. You're saying that I mean something. A rock is something. It doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. You have to pour that meaning into the rock. So you have to say, this is the Liberty Rock, or this is Plymouth Rock, or this is an altar. And so an external force comes and pours meaning into the object. Okay, what is a human being? I am a human being. What is Vin? I am an object, but I have meaning. But the question is, from whence came that meaning? I could say the settlers poured meaning into Plymouth Rock. I could say the girlfriend pours meaning into the diamond ring. Okay, so if I'm a human being, where did my meaning come from? Not my value, not my ontology, but what I mean. I mean something, and that's a very, very important line. But we have an understanding of ontology and meaning in the term image of God. So what that means is, the meaning that I have is when I see Tasco walking around, or when I hear Tasco talking, or when I hear Emmy talking, I am hearing somebody who represents God on the earth. That's what they mean. She means God on the earth in the way that she reflects God. People have actual meaning, and that's why there's so much depth to each human being. That's why there's so much value to the human being. It's because we mean something. But if you live in a universe where there is no creator, then who's pouring meaning into the object?
Right.
Every object that means something, right, that has a person who pours that subjective meaning into it, and it has to be external. And that's why at the end of the song, notice what he says. At the end of the song, he says, the eye can't see itself. It can't sit back, critique itself, and peep itself. It needs help. Take the sword, for example. No matter how hard, it can't carve its own handle.
I like that part.
Right? So what he's saying is, we need somebody from outside to arbitrate. The eye can't see itself. The mouth can't hear itself. Right? I agree, Tyler. I agree. We need somebody from outside to tell us what a human being is as far as meaning goes. And if in the minute that you lose that person, or that objective being that's above the object to pour meaning into it, the minute you lose that, you get Holocaust, you get millions of abortions, you get sexual assault, you get racism, you get all of that, because you don't know what a human being means. If I knew what a human being meant, I could never sexually assault a woman. I'm going to go and sexually violate somebody who represents God on the earth in a way that nobody has before or since. Men, if they saw a woman walking down the street with that vantage point, would be more inclined to worship her than to lust after her. That should be the problem. The problem should be a worship problem, like, yo, this girl represents God, but she's not God. Those are the problems that we should have, but those aren't the problems we have, because we've taken away that objective source of meaning. And so now what happens, if you see a girl walking down the street, her meaning becomes altered. So now she is not an image bearer of God who, if you knew her, you would find something out about God that you could not find out any other way. But you're not looking at her that way. You're looking at her as, oh, the meaning of this girl is the satiation of my lust. That's what she means. So women represent the fulfillment of my sexual desire. Right? Instead of saying women represent the fulfillment, because God is so big that one person, aside from Christ, cannot embody all the attributes of God. He needs to democratize that around billions of people, and she's one of them. Holy shit, I got to get to know her. That's a completely different way of looking at the world. And it covers race, it covers all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was a very, 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 very insightful song. I loved the song. It was great. It was deep. It was challenging. Song of the night so far.
Yeah,
it's a 9.8 for me.
What I like about it is when stuff is, like when he said over here, right here, you can't throw a human in the bottom of a boat unless someone got a damn chain around your soul. Like, just recognizing that the reason that people do these horrible things is because they're in a horrible in a horrible place as it is. Like, you can't do but we talked about that, where every human being has the capacity to do these kinds of to do great evil things, but we also have the capacity for great good. Like, there's a Facebook group. What was it? The Milk of Human Kindness. What is that Facebook group that
I forgot, but yeah.
It's I was hoping people would be able to find it, but it's what's the name of it? Basically, people are just like people doing good things for other people. I don't know if it's just in New York or all over the place, but stuff like that is really encouraging to see, because we all have darkness that we deal with and that we have to fight against, and there's still capacity for good. You know. Anyway.
Myron says, I'm a Christian and the little boy's still not going to point his finger at me at 2 or 3 or 16. I can imagine what he'll be saying. If I don't come in the bathroom, then that's the rule. If a supervisor says, don't be on your phone at work, and he catches him, he's going to put his finger and say, don't talk to me like that. Well, no, my son's never going to work for a supervisor. But
facts.
I do believe, though, that some of what you're saying is valid. Here's the issue, though. I could make a rule that says that you can't incidentally be up here when I'm coming out of the bathroom, but that rule would not be for the betterment of everybody in the house. It would just be for me. And biblically speaking, I can only use my authority for the betterment of everybody around me. So I can't just willy-nilly. I don't get to willy-nilly make up rules because I'm the parent.
Right.
And so it just so happened that you caught me in a rule that I've, because the thing is, there are bad rules. Mm-hmm. Right? And biblically speaking, you get accountable for making bad rules. So it's a little bit more complex than that in our household. I'm not going to tell you how to run your household. I just believe that everybody in the household has to be held to the exact same standard. I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are. And I'm raising up a black man in America, and I need that child to not be afraid of anyone, and he respects me for sure.
Yep.
But I also need that child to know people are gonna respect you, bro.
Yep.
Like you are deserving of respect, and people are not going to give it to you, and sometimes you have to assert yourself and take it. I've been in a lot of situations in the corporate world where people at the corporate level said a whole bunch of crazy shit to people, and they had to eat it because they had the authority. And that's why I'm saying my sons aren't going to be working for anybody, because this is what I'm saying. Like, we're so used to, in this culture, abusing our authority. We're just so used to it that we don't feel that we need to justify any of our exercise of authority, because God gave us that authority. I believe that my authority has to be justified. I believe that I have to if I'm going to use my authority, I have to have a biblical address for why I'm exercising that authority. And I don't see anywhere in scripture where I get to make a house rule based on a personal preference and then hold people accountable and then discipline them for it off my personal preference. That's crazy.
It wasn't the house rule necessarily. It was just, you were telling him he needed to go downstairs, but the way that you said it, like, he felt hurt by. And I think that one thing, like, before, like, I used to completely think, whoever the last commenter was that we pulled up on the screen, I used to think exactly like that. Like, I felt like, I was more traditional, I guess, by like American standards of how to raise children. Yeah. But the advantage of this style of parenting is that it comes from a real understanding that I'm liable to make mistakes and fail and hurt my kids, and you're liable to do that. Every single human being is, because we're all flawed. So we are going to hurt our kids, and what we're trying to do, though, is we're trying to say, okay, if I know that because I'm a sinful person and I'm somebody that's not a perfect person, that I'm going to do things that I'm going to fail my kids in certain ways, and I'm going to make them sad, and I'm going to hurt their feelings. Like, if I'm doing that without realizing it, but it's coming from, maybe you were rushing, or maybe you know what I mean, like, why was the patient, why instead of saying, hey buddy, it's time for you to go downstairs, why did you say it like that? Like, I don't know what was going on with you when that was happening, but the fact that we allow our kids to stand up for themselves and speak up for themselves, it gives us the opportunity to right that wrong, because you don't want your kids going through, a lot of us have like a certain event that we look back on and we think like, that really hurt us, maybe from our parents. Well, maybe they were intentionally trying to hurt you. I'm not speaking for every parent, but there's lots of parents that are just trying to raise their kids. They're not trying to hurt their kids. Certainly not something that they would want them to still be hurt at the age of 35. So doing this style of parenting opens it up for us to be able to hear from our kids and for them to be able to say something, so we can catch that right now. We don't have to wait until he's 35 for him to say, man, the way you used to talk to me would really hurt me. Like, we can address that now, and then you can apologize to him, and then, so it actually works out better if you can understand that we're all going to make mistakes, and I want the door open so my kids can tell me if I was off, because I know I'm going to be off, and I know I'm liable to justify my offness because I feel a certain way. So
yeah, for me, the principle is just that I get from this song, and just what I get from my Bible, is that anytime there's a power imbalance, left to ourselves, we're going to abuse it. We're going to use it wrongly.
Yeah.
And the degree to which the abuse of power happens obviously happens on a scale and in degrees. And we need somebody from outside to arbitrate. That's the issue. I believe that authority and respect has to be justified consistently. Not earned consistently, but it has to be justified consistently. I don't get to just make up arbitrary rules and make, create rules that make my life easier and then train my kids. Hey, if somebody's in authority, they get to talk to you however they want. I'm not going to train my kids that, especially my black kids. My black boys are not going to be taught, hey, somebody's in authority, you just bow down and do what they say. No. No, sir.
That won't be happening.
No, sir. All right. And I just got pulled over today about a couple hours ago. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't afraid. I'm not afraid of anybody. However, I comported myself respectfully, and so did the officer. And if the officer would have comported herself disrespectfully, then she would have heard about it. Ask Officer Holtz.
There you have it.
We don't play over here. This is a 9.4 for me.
Yeah, I would match you on a 9.4. Good score.
Brother Ali would agree, though. He points to Allah. Yeah, he probably would, inshallah. Okay, guys, we got more hip-hop coming for you on the other side of the break. Good discussion, guys. We got more on the way. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.